I want to welcome you to the Contemplative Sciences Center. My name is Kelly Crace. I'm with the Contemplative Sciences Center. It's so good to see all of you dedicating time and commitment of your energy and talent to this very important mission. Our mission at the Contemplative Sciences Center is essentially, at the heart of it, is to advance flourishing through research and practice, and to really deepen our sense of connection and engagement. So in that spirit, I'd like to ask something of you. I would like for you to reflect on a recent moment where you were mindful and aware of the experience of gratitude. That you didn't have to conjure it up, but you found yourself aware of feeling grateful in that moment. Something recent, whether it was yesterday or a couple of weeks ago. But I'd like for you to reflect on a moment where you experienced gratitude. And I want you to reflect on why you experienced that. And one step further, I would like for you to share that with the person next to you. Share this experience of gratitude and the why. Focus on the why it felt special to you in that moment. If you don't mind sharing that with each other for just a moment. That moment for you is the same moment of gratitude I currently feel at that level for those of you that have taken the time in the foreground and the background to plan and prepare and develop this program. It's the same level of gratitude that I have for the presenters and the practitioners that are coming here, that have under sacrifice, have come here to share their wisdom and their experiences in this important area of work. The gratitude I feel toward the attendees that have taken time out of your busy schedule and out of sacrifice of other things have prioritized this to come and learn and also share your wisdom. And to our sponsors and to the university for providing us this opportunity to come together and connect and engage. But the important reason as to why I feel this gratitude is the why behind it. The why behind this deep sense of gratitude that I feel is that this kind of symposium provides the opportunity for a deeper sense of hope and deeper sense of connection and engagement as we are living in a world of increasing uncertainty, of relentless pace, relentless change, and relentless noise. It provides us that sense of hope and connection and engagement. It's interesting, the field of psychology draws on two criteria that they describe have to occur for hope to be present, for us to feel hope. One is challenge, and second is attainability. So for instance, I didn't hope to be able to make my way down from the office to here because I knew I had accessibility to get here and I knew I had wayfinding from someone to help me get here if I got lost. I also didn't hope to transport here or to teleport here because at least currently I don't have that attainability to do that currently. So to feel hope, we have to feel both challenge and attainability. This kind of symposium and our work in this reminds us of the challenge of this work, the challenge that it took to get here, but then the challenge of the complexity and the essence of this work, and us joining in that challenge together. But when we come together in this way, it also reminds us that there is attainability here. This is not beyond us, despite the scariness and uncertainty of the world around us and the pace. This is not beyond us. And so it provides us that opportunity to remember that we can't flourish alone and we can't flourish passively. These kind of symposiums remind us of those two truths. So in that regard, I would like for us to think together about ways we can learn and grow together. And with that, I have two humble invitations. Instead of me mimicking the award ceremony where I stand up here and thank every single person that is a part of making this happen and a part of and doing this, one, I don't have the time to do that. And secondly, I know I would forget someone. Instead, what I would ask of you is I would like to invite all of us that as you engage with each other over the next 2 days, that as you learn about their intention of being here and their role in being here, that you do so in an intentional mindset of gratitude and appreciation for them. And secondly, I would like for you to use these 2 days as an opportunity for us to practice the contemplative element of contemplative practice of deeper attention, intention, and reflection. So as you are here over the next 2 days, if you find yourself drifting away and thinking of all the pressures and demands that are on your time and energy right now, I want you to compassionately and appreciatively just bring your attention back to the moment and remind yourself the intention of why you're here, and to give yourself permission to say, there's no more right place for me to be right here, right now. And then at the end of the day, I would like for you to reflect on what you appreciated and received meaning from the day. Together, us doing that together brings us hope, brings us deeper connection and deeper engagement. So as we kick this off, I do want to send regrets. Lori McMahon, our colleague, our vice president of research, was really hoping to be here this morning to welcome you also with me. She has been called away on an urgent matter as senior leadership, but she's going to be here. She's going to be here and actively engage in this process as much as she can. Lastly, I would like for you to join me in expressing our appreciation for the architect of this symposium, our director of research, Dr. Michael Sheehy of the Contemplative Sciences Center. Michael, he's going to kick us off and get us started on the day. So thank you all for your engagement. Take care.
What an incredible constellation of beings and energies we have here today and tomorrow. I'm super excited to have you all here. And today and tomorrow, most fundamentally, what we're going to explore is being human. What it means to be human, to experience our precious human life. We're going to probe, query, scrutinize, and entertain our very human existence. We're going to venture together into a slow think and an open discourse, an open dialogue about what it means to be human. There we go. What it means to be human now, at this very instant. At this very instant. We live during an epoch when we at once have access to a shared contemplative human heritage, traditions of living knowledge, and know-how about technologies of transformation and flourishing. And concurrently, in a world that's rapidly innovating novel technologies that will radically transform human experience. When artificial intelligence is the zeitgeist over human wisdom. Recognizing our sensory lives are increasingly overstimulated and overloaded by digital inputs, yet often impoverished of embodied, communal, sensory experiences. This symposium asks, how can contemplative practices and emerging technologies be coupled to revitalize the human capacity for sense-making? And what new paradigms for human consciousness and human flourishing might emerge from this encounter? As part of a broader intellectual and cultural turn towards understanding embodied, lived, and sensory experiences, the symposium is conceived to redirect scholarly attention and to the human sensorial, to assert the central role of experience in knowledge-making, transformation, and flourishing. Understanding how sensory practices generate meaning and knowledge, how they transform human experience, requires transdisciplinary collaboration that reaches beyond conventional academic boundaries. To undertake this venture, we're joined by thought leaders from across North America and Europe, humanists, scientists, artists, technologists, contemplatives, to foster in collaborative inquiry, realign a collective inquiry, a collective priority, and move the needle. The program is structured into 4 distinct sessions, each with 4 presentations, from different disciplines, followed by a moderated discussion. Throughout the program are guided contemplative sessions, art exhibits, spatial audio, sound and light immersion exhibitions, etc. We're going to keep you busy, but all the right ways. The symposium was conceived to embody the principles of the Contemplative Commons, this building in which we welcome you. How many of you are here for the first time? Welcome to the Contemplative Commons. As Kelly Chris just mentioned, we conceive our work here at the Contemplative Sciences Center through the lenses of research and practice. So to set the stage, I'll talk about our research approach here at the CSC and the three areas of intersection that we'll be exploring: the human senses, contemplation, and transformative technology. I'll conclude with some reflections about a contemplative future. First, I'd like to introduce you to our lab, the CIRCL, Contemplative Innovation and Research Co-Lab, located here in the Contemplative Commons on the second floor. A dynamic experimental co-laboratory in the Contemplative Commons, as well as a transdisciplinary network of researchers on grounds here at the university and beyond, invested in humanistic, scientific, and creative understandings and applications of contemplation. Our focus is three overlapping domains. We investigate how diverse contemplative practices and the experiences that emerge from these practices work in bodies and minds, cultures and ecologies, ourselves and our worlds. And to do so, we seek first, second, and third person methods to query. And we do so in a triangular fashion. I'm going to present three triangles, one circle and three triangles. The first is how we approach our research, which is through understanding contemplative knowledge in its historical and contemporary groundedness. The second is through lived experience, by foregrounding phenomenology and how people understand themselves and articulate their own experience. And the third is through mind-body sciences, cognitive sciences writ large, neuroscience predominantly, as well as philosophy of mind, etc. The second triangulation is that of our very building, the one that the architects took to heart in conceiving, designing, and animating this space. And those are the trifecta of nature, art, and technology. Grounded here in the Contemplative Commons, our research is inspired by this triangulation. And in the CIRCL, we study contemplation based on these three themes in various different configurations. This turns to the third triangle, the triangle of this very symposium. We are convened here to better understand how wisdom of contemplation can skillfully intersect with the intelligence of immersive and transformative technologies through the lens of the human senses. It is this triangulation and its kaleidoscopic perspectives in which we will abide today and tomorrow. Look around at the dazzling display of phenomena that permeate our purview. Listen to the sounds in the hall, the rustle and fizzle, the smells and distinct aromas of the floor. Notice the taste on your tongue. Maybe coffee or tea lingers. Caress your clothing, you feel the textures on your fingertips, on your skin, all over. These five senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching, open us to extraordinary ranges of experience. To be human is to be a sense maker. We investigate and navigate our social, cultural, ecological, and psychological worlds through our senses, by which we organize and render intelligible the sights, the sounds, the tastes, the tactile sensations from stimuli in the world around us. Human experience is thus a tapestry of feedback loops, receiving, detecting stimuli via our senses, our sense faculty and receptors, transducing stimuli via neural signals, transmitting these signals via our brain and body to process the world and assess this received information, to respond, adapt, transform. Every action, bodily movement, or spoken word, or thought furthers these seamless loops. In this way, we are indelibly looped in deep contingencies of sensation, perception, cognition, and interpretation of the worlds in which we live. The loops that we live also limit what we know and how we sense, how we access our experience. For instance, humans on average have about 5 are about 5 feet tall. Our wingspan is about approximately half that height in either direction. We have 2 eyes, always in the front of our head, a nose, a tongue, always facing forward. 2 ears on the side of our heads. While the whole body can sense, the most sensitive parts are actually the tongue, the fingertips, and our lips. That's where we feel the most. The position of these bodily sense organs receive stimuli from the world in a very particular way, in a way which assumes a certain sensorium. The human sensorium is assumed via the senses interacting with the world. At the center of the sensorium, seamlessly looping, is the nexus of the self. As such, duality is an active construct, from moments to moments, emerging, dissolving. The self is receiving, interpreting, responding to the world. Human consciousness is constantly a worldly. However counterintuitive, our human sensorium is not, however, the sole arbiter of reality. As we know from other life forms, more of reality can be sensed. Humans did not evolve to navigate via sound waves or detect electric fields emanated by other organisms, or sense the Earth's magnetic field or perceive heart signatures or heat in the dark. The ultraviolet spectrum, polarized light, senses of vibration with tactile hairs. As far as we know, human senses detect very limited degrees of reality. We are, however, learning from contemplative traditions and the cognitive sciences that what we feel to be our core sense is more plastic than we had thought. Despite our sense-making processes being biologically constructed and culturally constrained, we can learn, we can appraise, and adapt. Human consciousness can be intentionally altered, augmented, and enhanced. The pattern loops in which we are so deeply and habitually entangled can be reconfigured for greater well-being, greater synchronicity, and spiritual freedom. Among our records of the earliest humans from painted caves and such as La Tau in southern France, we have evidence that humans were seeking to give meaning to their world, reflecting on their environments. Humans are constantly making meaning through interpreting our worlds, our lives, through seeking novel experiences, contextualizing ourselves in the big picture, making new worlds. Contemplation contextualizes the self, elicits meaningful experience, imbues life with meaning. Contemplative traditions have long understood that the senses are vital instruments for empiricism, insight, and transformation. Sense-making practices have been integral to global contemplative traditions and mind-body life pathways for millennia. Such practices have informed cultural epistemologies of ecological belonging, relational care, attentional cultivation, and emotion regulation. Modern popular perceptions of contemplation have, however, reduced these practices to matters of the brain and cognition, overlooking the critical role of the sensing body in how we make meaning and interpret our worlds. So, what if, as we are rediscovering, the sophisticated techniques developed by contemplative traditions historically are adaptations of a more fundamental capacity, even a need to be intentionally whole. In this way, contemplation is a distinct form of human practice, an experience born from self-awareness. Self-awareness is a reflexive capacity of mind shared with other mammals, a few of which, including dolphins, magpie, and chimpanzees. It's how contemplation can be expressed by humans. But more so, it is the mind's ability to transform itself and gives us the ability to experience contemplative. I think of contemplation as twofold. One, as practices, which are distinct skill sets that can be cultivated intentionally. They oftentimes prioritize training, are effortful, and with diligence, by procuring objects, sustaining attention, can transform us. And the second is experiences. This isn't so much about having the focal object and practicing it with it, but rather curating the experiences, creating conditions for emergence of experience by setting mindsets, orientations, environmental conditions, and is often understood to be effortless. This contemplation in this twofold manner is much more diverse than mindfulness and yoga, which is often how it's delimited in modern representations. In fact, it's manifold. We have attentional practices and reflective practices. We have social practices and somatic practices. We have imaginal practices and non-dual practices, etc. All these techniques are, however, designed for a single purpose: to disrupt the ordinary habitual loops, those very looping patterns of awareness, cognition, body scheme, sense of self that habituate us in the ordinary world. Contemplative technologies, coupled with sense-making processes, can transform humans. The emergence of generative, immersive, and transformative technologies is rapidly reshaping human consciousness. Here at the CIRCL Lab, our research on contemplative design utilizes cutting-edge technologies to augment and enhance experiences of expert and naive meditators, practitioners. This research queries how contemplative tech interventions can induce new experiences and catalyze life openings. I invite you all to go see the new Feo by artist Wolfgang Gottrus here in the front row, who will give presentation in the opening session today. An immersive sound and light studio of sculptural experience right in the gallery outside on the other side of the hall that synthesizes and synchronizes the aquatic world with the human world through sound and light from the pond adjacent to the Contemplative Commons. In many ways, it's the beating heart of our building. I invite you up into the fourth floor for the next few days to see the conservatory, our light and sound immersion room, inspired by the idea that human experience, like the wonders of nature, can be discovered and cultivated. Matthew Bertner, professor in the music department here, will also be a speaker and moderator, will give the closing remarks, in fact, has a exhibit called Morven Resalva, which we welcome you all into over the next few days. Up in the CIRCL Lab on the second floor, my team and I run several studies in nature with advanced meditators and also on virtual reality with collaborators from Enuma and Pneumodelic Labs. David Glowacki is here and will be giving a talk as well. He's the inventor of Enuma. And we've just completed an experience inspired by, in fact, designed from historical dream yoga or lucid dreaming practices that are then simulated in virtuality. And we're looking at that with collaborators at Northwestern University to look at effects on lucid dreaming and lucid waking, how the lucidity factor can transform consciousness through experiences of virtuality. The aesthetic that we're using, the medelic aesthetic, shows material bodies as energetic essences, encouraging us to reimagine what we are and how and what comes next. So what are we to do with all this? Where are we to go? How are we to gaze upon the horizon. We live during a global epoch of heightened distraction and rapid change. This moment requires new ways of thinking and responding, new ways of being in the world, a new ethic. Because of the challenges that we face globally, humanity is hinged on how we shed maladaptive systems and retool ourselves with new technologies. Humans have constantly, through the ages, been adapting, shedding maladaptive systems, and retooling themselves with new technologies. Our capacity to innovate and adapt will depend on our ability to draw from the immense reservoir of our own human knowledge, from intercultural know-how. We're not going to get there through one epistemology or one cultural framework. We need intercultural knowing. Contemplation is a human technology that we can use to retool ourselves with greater attentional, emotional, imaginal, and embodied skills. In this way, I'd like to propose and open at the beginning here a kind of framework for thinking about sense-making, which will be reiterated and deconstructed and reconfigured by everyone who presents over the next 2 days. But to think about it perhaps was fundamentally not only as the looping patterns I had suggested that are biological and cultural and social and so forth, but most fundamentally how we care. How we care as living organisms, as humans. How we make meaning in the processes of self and being a self in a chaotic world. The very artful processes of interpreting and responding, which are driven by an innate care for who we are, what we do, and how we are in the world. So, if we are to invest our time, our energy, our resources, our attention in technologies, which I believe we must, why not invest in technologies that will disrupt loops, transform the self, and enhance the body, mind, and human relationships there? I'd like to segue back to where Kelly opened us with, which is gratitude. Numerous people have brought us here today. Some of them won't be. But I want you to see them. You'll see them around. Cecilia, Adam, Mac, Ellen, Matt, Than have been the core group along with myself who have convened this. I'd really like to give a round of applause and thank them for their efforts. I'd like to thank the planning committee, Matthew Bergner, Greg Goring, Jovia Armstrong, Devin Zuckerman, Adam, and our board member, Diane Naughton. Diane is also a generous donor along with the Hamera Foundation. Jeremy Lowry is here in the audience for the next few days, and the Hamera Foundation has been a very generous supporter of Contemplative Sciences Center and really makes this event possible. So thank you, Hamera. Thank you, Diane.